Welcome back to Movies TV Mad and Saturday's edition of the Movies TV Mad Daily. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives, and I'm not making that up. Go and ask them. They've had good times with me. But the great thing is, I always give them back. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter if you want to attack that sentence, at Movies TV Mad. Don't give me your wives and your girlfriends' Twitter handles, because then I'm going to borrow them. Anyway, welcome to Saturday's edition of the Movies TV Mad Daily. Right, Premier Access is Black Widow's Lee Harvey Oswald. Lee Harvey Oswald, the man that your educators lied to you about killing John F. Kennedy? Yeah, him. It's the same thing with Premier Access. Right, let's get this absolutely clear. If you've been under a rock, Scarlett Johansson is going to sue Disney. Beard is going to sue Disney for loss of earnings because Black Widow was also in movie theatres and Premier Access. Now, Premier Access is a despicable concept. It stings its customers, not only just with a subscription, but with $30. Now, I don't mind paying $30 if I'm watching Infinity War or Endgame or even the Snyder Cut, which has nothing to do with Disney, or Man of Steel or BVS. But Black Widow, it's outrageous. But let's be absolutely clear here. Black Widow is the first MCU flop. This does not sit well with Disney or Kevin Feige, because the MCU can't have a flop. It's not good for business. Oh, the DCEU can have a flop, everyone can laugh, and the DCEU just keeps on limping ahead, right? Which is cool, because it proves that Warner Brothers and DC can take any shot in the hip and keep going. Because in fact, the DCEU has also only had one flop, and that's Justice League financially. Shazam made good money, whatever you say and think. Birds of Prey made a slight profit. Obviously should have made more, wasn't good enough to make more. Wonder Woman 84 made a little bit of a profit as well. So they're not flops. But Black Widow, when its global run is over, will be an official flop. Not because it was on Premier Access, but they want you to be distracted. They don't want you to talk about what a bad, boring movie Black Widow is. So they have created this distraction, and it's hilarious to me. Now, I spoke about it on The Level yesterday, but I'm not going to speak about it on The Level anymore, because I had an epiphany when I was having a cigarette on my balcony this morning. You may have seen my Smoking Thoughts video where I take the piss out of Johansson, Iger and Chapek. I'll do it on here. Hey Scarlett, hey Mr. Chapek, Mr. Iger, what can I do for you? We need your help. Black Widow is the first MCU flop. Now, we can't be having people talking about that. So what you're going to do is you're going to sue us and say you lost earnings because it was on Premier Access. Then we can blame Premier Access and not the shit movie Kate Shortland made. Are you in, Scarlett? Anything for you, Mr. Chapek and Mr. Iger? Anything? Yes, so that's what I did on my smoking video this morning. Because I'm being sarcastic, of course I am. But it's true. It's true. You deluded fuckwits. The only reason Black Widow isn't making more money, and let's be clear about this, not only did it have a horrible drop-off, 69%, right, in its second week, but no one was buying the Premier Access in its second week. In fact, no one's been re-watching the Premier Access they paid for in the first week. Because as I said, when the big opening weekend and opening week numbers came in, I said it will drop off. Do you remember when I said that to you? On here and on my Twitter, I told you that. And it's true. It's true. And this is the issue. And this is the real issue. It's not a good enough movie to have people re-watching it. You can watch it once. I just about watched it once. It's not a good movie. And that's the reason it flopped. Sorry about that, I was called away. So let's continue this conversation. The whole point is to distract you. is to try and distract you away from the fact that Black Widow isn't a great movie. There was this big fuss made that finally Scarlett Johansson will get this movie. She's not happy with the movie. That's the truth. And we have to talk about deeper issues here. Although I'm joking kind similarly about Scarlett Johansson and Bob Iger and Bob Chapek having this conspiracy theory, I do believe that there is a Marvel Studios Disney divide. But at the end of the day, let's make one thing absolutely clear. Black Widow would never have made much more money. All right, put back the 60 million it made on Premier Access. Put that back in. That's fine. So what? 60 million is a lot of money, but what difference does it make ultimately? Right? Put it in there. It would have been basically, right, basically it would have made what? 130 million in its opening weekend, which would have been great, right, if you take those numbers away. But the second week and the third week wouldn't have improved on that. So they would have been going on and on about, I mean, they would have been really boasting about this. Of course, it was always going to do those numbers. But it had no rewatchability. It's not a very good film. I don't think it's a terrible film, by the way. I think the first act is pretty cool. The second and the third act is not. It just simply isn't a consistent quality movie. It's not a classic. You can't keep on going back to watch it. So now we look at the deeper issue of this. This civil war between Marvel Studios and Disney. It's there. And it's not just between them. Pixar are not happy with Disney either for sticking their shit on Premier Access as well. I think that's been a free premiere, hasn't it? Some of them, which is interesting. But the point being, right, that there's an issue between Marvel Studios and Disney. This goes beyond the Black Widow thing, beyond the Scarlett Johansson thing. There's a deeper issue here. Now, I expect Scarlett Johansson to drop this case. I think this was to shine a light that there's an issue here and to give them bad PR. Now, if you listen to kind of the he said, she said thing, I mean, Disney came out and said, oh my God, you've attacked our sensibilities during this horrible COVID time. How could you? You're so unfeeling. And she's saying, well, you haven't been talking to me. You've been ignoring me. I've been trying to get your attention that I'm not happy about this situation, right? And even in the legal document, she cites that Jason Kilar and WB looked after its talent when they did their controversial day and date plan. That's the problem. That's the problem Disney have here. So I don't know what's going to happen with this. But there is a problem between Marvel Studios and Disney. No question about that. And now the mainstream public can see it. You see, this is huger than Snyder versus WB. This is huger. Because at the end of the day, you can make Snyder go away. Snyder's over at Netflix now. It doesn't really matter. I mean, Sarnoff and Walter Hamada and the people running WB and DC now are doing very, very well. They're making their movies. People are excited about the future. We got DC Fandom 2 in October. The positivity is with us at WB and DC. And I always say us because I class myself as part of WB and the DC fandom. So I'm always going to say us. Right now, we've just released the Suicide Squad in the UK. Everyone's fucking loving it and going back to watch it again and again and again. 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. Not bad, eh? What happened to the 4%? Who cares? It's amazing. So this film will make good money. So all of a sudden, the positive vibes are with DC and WB. It's very, very interesting. I mean, you shouldn't really focus too much on the haircut situation because Snyder fans are using that as a distraction against James Gunn's movie. And it's not going to work, by the way. This is such a good movie. And there's no guarantees the haircut is going to be a good movie. I'd like to see it just so we can see it for ourselves once and for all. I'm happy it's going to be a composed score and not radio music and shit like that because I prefer composed scores. I always have. But just finishing off this subject, Black Widow is a middling, mediocre, watered down, dull movie. And that's why it didn't make the money they were expecting it to. I don't even know why they were expecting it to. I'll tell you why, because it had the Marvel logo on it. Marvel is dying. Who are they going to blame when Shang-Chi doesn't do the money that they want? What are they going to do when Eternals doesn't make the money they want it to make? Because it won't. The only film that's doing plus $1 billion or maybe even Force Awakens money this year is Spider-Man No Way Home. And it isn't because of their watered down Spider-Man or their MJ, who has no chemistry with their Spider-Man. It's because the real deals are returning. William Dafoe, Tobey Maguire, Andy Garfield, the real deals are returning. People cast these people who knew what they were doing. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, yes, the trilogy, because I love all three movies, even if you don't, are classics, rewatchable. Even Spider-Man 3 is more rewatchable than Homecoming and Far From Home. And that's my fact, that's my truth. May not be a universal one, but it's the truth. And let's look at this even deeper. We had Joss Whedon do Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron. Two really good Avengers movies, right? I know the second one isn't as good as the first one, but it's still a good damn movie, right? It's great. And Joss Whedon, whatever you think of him, did a good job writing and directing both these movies. Then he went, probably for Joss Whedon reasons, doesn't matter. He went. Then they brought in the fucking Russos. We thought, what's he gonna do now, Kevin Feige? He brought in the Russos. They made one of the best CBMs of all time in Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I love that film. I adore that film. They brought Robert Redford in. I mean, how many people have done that? But anyway, then they do Infinity War. Then they do Endgame. Now, I know most of it is, a lot of it is, you know, Feige's part of that. He's the showrunner of this, but they wrote those films and they directed those films. And I was just thinking about this. Why are the Russos not there now? I know people move on, and I know that maybe Kevin likes to freshen things up, but who have you brought in to replace them? You had Joss Whedon, you replaced Joss Whedon with the Russos. Amazing! But who have you replaced the Russos with? Michael Waldron, or however you say his name, the people who did WandaVision, the people who did Falcon and the Winter Soldier. These are the people who are going to be working on their movies as well. Yes, MCU stands, you should be worried. You should be very worried. Not just because of the way your franchise is going, but the way the DCEU is going as well. In a very exciting position. A direction that's epic. Think about it. We now have our own Comic-Con every year. We've got Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. We got Peacemaker. We've got the Batman. We've got Green Lantern Corps on HBO Max coming. Gotham PD. Batgirl. Literally could be bringing back Ben Affleck as well. Batgirl on HBO Max. Black Adam. We'll talk about that later on. There's an article. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. We'll talk about that later as well. And then we've got the coup de grace. Flashpoint, the movie that's going to reboot the entire universe. And all you've got to look forward to, if you're honest, is Spider-Man No Way Home. And the only reason you're looking forward to it is because of everything that wasn't created by Kevin Feige. That says a lot about the state of the MCU. So yes, Black Widow was a middling, boring movie, and it's the first MCU flop for a reason, and it has nothing to do with their day and date, it has nothing to do with their Premier Access, and has everything to do with it being a bad, not a bad, but a boring, dull, watered down movie. And that, for now, is my final word on that subject. Aquaman 2 producer explains why fan campaign to fire Amber Heard was rejected. Peter Safran dismisses social media drive by Johnny Depp supporters to remove Heard from the DC sequel You Got to Do What's Best for the Movie by James Hibbard. This is very interesting. He says, right, and I like Peter Safran, and I think he and his production company are doing a great job with DC content right now, so I have no issue with Peter Safran. But it's interesting that the same studio was happy to ruin a movie and sack Johnny Depp from Fantastic Beasts 3. Why wasn't that important? Why wasn't the movie more important there? Ultimately, because a court ruling said he had hit Amber Heard, and that's illegal proceedings, they had no choice but to remove him. That's the truth. Aquaman producer Peter Safran explained while online efforts to get Amber Heard removed from the superhero sequel were dismissed by the film's creative team. Heard plays aquatic warrior Mera in the franchise and has been the target of an intense lobbying campaign on social media, largely driven by Johnny Depp supporters in the wake of the actor's tumultuous divorce. I don't think we're ever going to react to honestly pure fan pressure, Safran told Deadline's Hero Nation podcast. You've got to do what's best for the movie. We felt that if it's director James Wan and star Jason Momoa, it should be Amber Heard. That's really what it was. So this is interesting. It's also interesting that he doesn't say that Amber Heard is a terrific person and they're standing by her. So you shouldn't really see this as an admittance of solidarity. Safran continued, one is not unaware of what is going on in the Twitterverse, but that doesn't mean you have to react to it or take it as gospel or accede to their wishes. You have to do what's right for the film, and that's really where we landed on it. Interesting again, he doesn't name her directly, doesn't say she's a great person, a great actress, and they're standing by her. It's what's best for the movie. Heard and Depp divorced in 2016 after a whirlwind marriage and have since lobbied allegations of domestic abuse against each other. Depp then sued the UK tabloid The Sun for a 2018 article that called the actor a wife beater. An audio recording was introduced at the libel trial in which Heard admitted hitting Depp. Wow, we know this already, but wow. But the court ultimately rejected Depp's case and the motion to appeal was refused. And this is very interesting. I mean, if we look at it legally, I don't think audio recordings really can be submitted as evidence. I don't know if they can be, but most of the time they're rejected. I have found the great majority of alleged assaults of Miss Heard by Mr. Depp have been proved to the civil standard, Judge Andrew Niccol said. And here's the problem. In a court, obviously an audio isn't proof, which is ridiculous, right? After the trial verdict, Warner Bros. Released Depp from the upcoming Fantastic Beasts sequel, with actor Mads Mikkelsen taking over the role of Gellert Grindelwald. The Fantastic Beasts recasting seemed to help fuel Depp supporters, who insisted that Heard likewise get ousted from the upcoming Aquaman sequel. Yes, it's pretty obvious. I said this ages ago. They were both taking lumps out of each other, and none of this is ours, the consumers' business. But once they sacked Depp from Fantastic Beasts 3, the fans are thinking, his fans are thinking, wait, if he's sacked, why can't she? It's a kind of a naive kind of thing to come out with, because no court has said that she's a man beater, and there lies the problem. But a court has said he's a woman beater, so they had no choice but to remove him. It's harsh, but there you have it. Last November, Heard described the protest in an interview with EW as paid rumours and paid campaigns on social media that don't dictate casting decisions because they have no basis in reality. The audio, Amber, has basis in reality. Maybe not legally, but in reality they do. Only the fans actually made Aquaman and Aquaman 2 happen. I'm excited to get started next year. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is planned for December 16, 2022 release. So I won't be boycotting this movie. I don't hate Amber Heard, and although I admire Johnny Depp, I'm not a Johnny Depp stan. Listen, here's the thing for me. I've said it so many times on here that at the end of the day, this is none of our business. But I understand why Depp stans are frustrated and angry. It is clear they took lumps out of each other. There is no innocent party in this relationship. But Depp was the one who's made mistakes. She warned him on those audios. Just leave it alone. Don't say anything. Let's go our separate ways. I won't say anything. You don't say anything. Everything's fine. But Depp wouldn't leave it alone. And in the end, by suing The Sun, basically he shot himself in the foot, and that's why he got the sack. Now, in terms of Amber Heard's future in the DCEU as Mera, she hasn't got a future. Now, yes, Peter Safran has said we don't bend the knee to fan campaigns, but they will. They will. Now, either they will kill her off in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, or they'll delete her in Flashpoint. Something will happen, and she'll be replaced, hopefully, by, what's her name? One of my favourite actresses, and I've forgotten her name. Emilia Clarke. Emilia Clarke. She's a woman of great humour, doesn't take herself seriously. I loved when that interviewer asked her about playing a strong woman, and she goes, why do you have to be labelled the point that a woman's strong? She didn't like it. So I love Emilia Clarke. She has great quality, great morality. She'll be a great Mera. No question about that. But Amber Heard as Mera is not long for this world. Yeah, they allowed her to stay in this film because they just didn't want to whack her out. They want to give a story reason why she's not going to be there anymore. So Amber Heard will be removed by WB, but in their time, on their schedule, on their timetable, and not on the fans. They don't like her any more than you do. I can assure you of that. Nobody likes working with Amber Heard. Nobody likes Amber Heard in the industry because Peter Safran could have said at any time in that statement, she's a wonderful young woman, she's a victim, she's this, she's that. He didn't. Basically, he said, we're stuck with her. Not in so many words. He said, we're stuck with her. We had to put her in this movie, but don't you worry. This is double talk. She will be removed from the DCEU, all in good time. Black Adam producer says DC film will feature technology that has never been done before. Hiram Garcia teased the special effects team was put to work before explaining the movie's PG-13 rating and how it might connect with the rest of the DC multiverse. Very interesting. By Abby White of The Hollywood Reporter. When Black Adam flies into theatres next summer, the ancient anti-hero will be doing it with the help of new technology. Hiram Garcia, a producer on the DC film, told Collider that the special effects team was put to work and that the technology used to show off the character's abilities is totally unique. The technology we're using to make Black Adam fly has never been done before. It's completely unique, he said. It was critical for us to ensure that it felt special, authentic and real. Director Jaime Colesera took that to heart. Our special effects team are Oscar winners, and we certainly put them to work. Garcia said with other films in the superhero genre, it's common to see abilities fall to the wayside when dealing with characters who have multiple big powers. The new tech was necessary to avoid the shortcomings of genre predecessors and help realise the character's many amazing abilities. On screen for audiences, he has super speed, can fly, has world-breaking strength, to name a few. We wanted to make sure moviegoers feel that throughout the entire movie. Wow. A goal of their work on the film and with the character, according to Garcia, was to ensure continuity and push the bar in terms of how we do it. You're not going to see him use super speed just once and then it stops. This is part of his arsenal. During the interview, Garcia also touched on how Black Adam fits into the larger DC cinematic multiverse and whether it connects directly to films like The Flash and Shazam, or is it more self-contained like Matt Reeves' upcoming The Batman. I think there are versions of it. We're definitely focusing now, though, on building out our world. Obviously, Shazam does exist in the same universe as Black Adam, and there are some other crossover elements you might feel in our movie. Well, well, well. A very important piece of dialogue by Hiram Garcia. Should we read it again? Because we need to read things like this again and underline them. This is what this channel will do, right? It won't just go through the news. I will give you my opinions and I want your opinions, even if they're opposite to mine. So, obviously Shazam does exist in the same universe as Black Adam, and there are some other crossover elements you might fill in the movie. So this is not a self-contained movie like James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. As I said, the future will see some self-contained, some crossovers, because this movie is part of the central Justice League universe, and that's very, very exciting. So we're going to have crossover elements. And there's another article about Henry Cavill's Superman and Black Adam, which I will read to you very shortly. As for the film's PG-13 rating, Garcia said that the team discussed it and ultimately felt it just wasn't necessary to make it R. I agree. The producer argued that the movie could represent the edge of power of Black Adam without having to move out of the PG-13 realm. This will be PG-13, but it's not because we're being forced to PG-13. The way we devised the movie, it just wasn't necessary to make it R. And it's something we discussed because we did want to be true to the character, he said. This movie can thrive in a PG-13 space, and that's great for us because we want to introduce Black Adam to as many people as possible, which is great. And that's Hiram Garcia. Very, very exciting and very, very interesting. So you heard the man yourself. I think this is a great team making this superhero movie, and they want to do more, and they want to flesh out this Black Adam and Shazam universe to be a bigger part of the DC extended multiverse. So instead of DCEU, the DC extended, the DCEM, we're going to have to get used to that. The DCEM, the DC extended multiverse. Isn't that exciting? I'm getting excited just saying it. The DCEM, from now on, that's what I'm calling it, like it or not. The DCEM, brilliant. Yes, so he's saying it. There's a crossover element in Black Adam. So what does this mean? And who's crossing over? I'll tell you who! Henry Cavill's Superman! Let's go to that article now. Black Adam and Superman fight would be incredible, says producer. Seven Bucks production, president of production, Hiram Garcia says a fight between Johnson's Black Adam and Cavill's Superman would be incredible. President of production at 7 Bucks, Hiram Garcia says a fight between Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam and Henry Cavill's Superman would be incredible. Johnson's association with the role of Tef Adam, Black Adam, dates back to 2007, before the DC Extended Universe's conception with Man of Steel 2013. A lot has happened since then, including Warner Bros. DC's abandonment of the Snyderverse following Justice League. Snyder's Justice League highlighting that decisions, flaws, and Cavill's now uncertain future as Kal-El. There is no uncertain future as Kal-El. Unfortunately, can you tell the difference between a journalist of THR, the Hollywood Reporter, and Screen Rant? They pretty much just backpedal and give you a catch-up on the story so far in the DCEU. Just tell us about the matter in hand. Because they don't have any journalistic prowess. That's the problem. As an ancient Egyptian who's granted powers by the wizard Shazam, Black Adam was originally supposed to debut in 2019 Shazam. The studio since decided it was best for Johnson to headline a solo film introducing the anti-hero. Leading up to and throughout filming, which recently wrapped, Johnson has hyped Black Adam's ability to change the hierarchy of power in the DC universe. As he put it, Black Adam has all the powers of Superman, but the difference is he's blessed with magic, and also by a code of ethics in the world of superheroes. They don't kill bad guys, but Black Adam does. Reports also point to the actor wanting the morally ambiguous character in the Snyderverse where he can go toe-to-toe with Cavill's Superman. In an interview with Collider, Johnson's company 7 Bucks president of production Hiram Garcia talked about director Jaume Collet-Serra's upcoming Black Adam and a depiction of Johnson's brutal anti-hero. The film will showcase Black Adam's power in a way that has never been done before, establishing an undeniable new power dynamic in the DCEU. Despite the film's PG-13 rating, Garcia said Black Adam will have a definitive edge and not limit its kill count. Naturally, Garcia was asked if this very unlike Clark Kent character will ever fight Cavill on screen. Read what he had to say below. Listen to this. This proves my point that Cavill's Superman is in this Black Adam movie. Hard to say. But I know that would be incredible if it ever did happen, said Garcia. We certainly know the fans want it. All I can say is that we're always listening to the fans and doing what we can. Always listening to the fans and doing what we can. Wink, wink. Henry Cavill's Superman. Right, let's stop this. Let's stop fucking about. He has to be Secret Squirrel. We don't have to be. Stop saying he's not in Fury of the Gods. Stop saying he's not in Black Adam. He's definitely in these two movies. I don't know about the others. He's definitely in these two movies, right? Listen to what the man said. Listen to what the man says and read through it. They're not going to tell you the truth. They want it to be a fucking surprise. Hard to say, but I know that would be incredible if it ever did happen, said Garcia. We certainly know the fans want it. All I can say is that we're always listening to the fans and doing what we can. What do you think that means? It means Henry Cavill is going to be in Black Adam. Listen, I am very excited for the proposed return of Henry Cavill's Superman. It is happening. He is going to cameo in a lot of movies. Definitely. Definitely. That's exciting. He will eventually get his own Man of Steel sequel or whatever you want to call it. Yes, I know BVS is Man of Steel 2 kind of, but I'm just saying sequel. A sequel to Man of Steel. Basically, they haven't dealt with the codex yet, have they? We don't know what Flashpoint will wipe out from Henry Cavill's Superman either. We'll have to wait and see. But Henry Cavill has a big future within the DCEU. They all have. And it's very, very exciting. Listening to Hiram talk about what they're doing with Black Adam with the special effects. He doesn't just fly once. He doesn't use super speed once. We have got the Justice Society of America, Dr. Fate. If you're a DC fan, what's not to be excited about? Come on, everyone! Cavill's coming back. More Gal Gadot. More Batfleck. And if you wait here, I've got a photo of Batfleck's stunt double in Glasgow shooting a really exciting scene in Andy Machiete's Flashpoint movie. I'm so pumped. Look at this. He literally has seen someone taking a picture of him. Listen, Andy Machete and Warner Brothers want you to see these images because there's nothing in these images of things that haven't been announced yet. We knew Batfleck was in this movie. We knew 89 Keaton Batman was in this movie. We've seen him. We haven't seen any pictures from anyone who hasn't been announced. They're showing off what they've got. They're building this film out, right? And this is very clever by Warner Brothers and DC. You know why? Because Spider-Man No Way Home is doing the Secret Squirrel thing. And that has got people hyped as well. But this kind of thing gets you even more hyped. It's a great picture. This is how Batfleck's going to look. I think he will be on location today, by the way, Batfleck in Glasgow. So looking forward maybe to seeing some pictures. But listen, this is the coup de grace, this movie. And I'm really looking forward to it. We've got so many people in this movie. And listen, just because we've got all these characters, it doesn't mean Ezra Miller's The Flash isn't going to be front and centre. But it's a kind of a Justice League multiverse movie. It's huge. It's massive. It's exciting. Some normally making a mistake that this is a Batman movie and Chris Wong-Svensson pointing it out. And we all know why he was doing that. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what these people say. Us DC fans, and I know Chris is a DC fan, right? He's just flirting with the Snyder fans a little bit because he's a YouTuber and he wants everyone to be invited to his videos because that's how you make money on these platforms, right? I haven't learnt that trick yet. Oh well, never mind. But I am so excited for the future. Right, that's it for today. This has been Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. This is Movies TV Mad. Follow me on Twitter. Please subscribe if you haven't. Click that little bell so you never miss my videos and get notifications for this perfection. A very happy birthday to Perry White himself from Man of Steel and BVS. And I've actually forgotten the actor's name. I always forget people's names, but you know who I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm so hyped for the future of the DCEU, or should I say the DCEM. That's what I'm going to be calling it from now on. We have a great future, and as you can see at the mess at Disney and the MCU, we are going to be tops in franchise movies and television very, very soon. Comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and I will see you again in the next video. Until then, goodbye, have a great Saturday.